I put air in the tires, and I think now I'm gonna start getting ready to work on this thing. So let me get it out of the truck here. I think I'll have to probably set the camera down, and because I'm gonna need both hands to push this thing out to not end up, you know, wrecking stuff. That was way easier to get out of the truck than I expected. So the first thing I'll probably do is get it running and then clean it up and see if I can get some paint close to touch it up a little bit. I'm thinking this might have a lighting coil in it, and that might be for the, you know, a headlight probably bolted on it somewhere. I think before I try and put gas in this estate sale snowblower, I'm going to pull a heater box off here and see what the float bowl looks like. Pull the float and kind of see what, let's see, is there probably a fastener? Yeah, there's a fastener right there too. So, and a nut up there, nut there, 2 screws here, and a nut thing there. And this heater box should come off, and I might pull the blower housing, make sure there's no mouse nest in there, because that would destroy the engine. If that's the key, it would destroy the engine if I'll have to get a screwdriver to pop that off, if it has a nest in there. So you don't want to start these up, you know, mice get in them, and then you start them up and then they overheat and you destroy a good engine simply for not taking the effort of pulling a couple 4 bolts or so and checking to make sure there's nothing in there. And anyway, let me get this off and have a look at the float bowl and the fuel line, make sure the throttle isn't stuck, you know, from being sitting. I don't think this thing's been used in a while. It had, both the tires are flat. You know, estate sales, usually these people, they get old and can't use the stuff anymore, and it just sits for years, and then they pass away, and then they sit for another year or so before the family, you know, has an estate sale. So it's not uncommon to find equipment in estate sales that hasn't been running 10 plus years. So I have no idea when this was run last, but it was in that cruddy barn where those fans were, and I don't think that it has been run in quite a while. So let's get that thing off. Primer bulb's still pliable and nice, not all ready to break. It's got a J19LM spark plug. That carburetor is going to have to come off. There's no doubt about it. Look at all the crud on it. Yeah, that's the thing that turns the choke. Like I say, snowblowers don't have air cleaners. I mean, you're not running in dirt, so that's why they don't have them. But let me pull the carburetor and just go through it. You can see I have to disconnect this wire. That's for that like key. Oh, there's a spider right there. Daddy long leg. Where'd it go? Well, must have ran down my pants or something. I don't see it now, but yeah, they're the most venomous spider on the planet, are the daddy long leg, and but their mouth is too small to, there it is, too small to bite people. So anyway, we got the spider web all cleaned out of there. Well, still a little bit, but I'll have to clean that switch too. So if you pull the key out, it grounds, stops the engine. But anyway, yeah, let me get the carb. We'll go through the carb. Carb is off. The fuel hose I'm going to have to replace. That's kind of split. So I'll just pull the blower housing off, because that obviously goes in there, and it's in these, you know, it's in the special place in there. And like I say, I want to make sure there's no mouse nest in there. So we'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We'll pull the blower housing when we change the fuel line and check for mouse nests. But this thing is kind of dirty. The inside of it doesn't look too bad. It's got a float drain thing here, so you can drain the float when you drain the fuel out of it. Let's pull that bowl. I wanted to take it apart, get the carb off yet this evening. So if I need to put it in the ultrasonic cleaner or soak it, if I can just, you know, if it's really bad, I'll get the ultrasonic cleaner out. Otherwise, I'll just hit it with some carb cleaner. And so let's pull the float bowl and have a gander and see what we need to do here. Well, that's actually clean. Main jet. Oh yeah, this thing would have started right up. No question about it. I am going to clean it up seeing it's off. Why not, right? I mean, it's not going to take any longer to clean it up than putting it back on. I don't know if that shows up there or not. Yeah, there's a little seat in there. I don't think I can get it to show up, but anyway, that's what seats it. It's rubber up in there. And one side of it's ribbed. You always got to make sure the rib side goes in first. I have the tools to put those in. But yeah, I think this has an idle mixture screw too, so I can maybe pop that out. I don't know if that's what's under here or not. They put these emission caps on. It was prevent you from turning the screws. No doubt it would have started right up. You know, maybe, in fact, you know, maybe I'll just put the float and stuff back on it and just clean the exterior. And the interior's spotless, truly is. Let me, this thing's going to run perfect without, I could have just put gas in it and probably could have started it in 1 or 2 pulls. That's a rarity when you buy stuff in estate sales. Usually they're always gummed up and a disaster, you know, from sitting for who knows how long. But obviously whoever owned this took care of it and drained the fuel system. Okay, the float looks level, so the float level's good. But this is typical Tecumseh carburetors. Always have a little dimple in the float bowl where the float, so if the float comes down, it touches the dimple and it doesn't glue the whole float bowl. The goo in the whole float to the goo in the bottom of the carburetor, if it gets gooed up, see how that's the deeper part where the float drops, and that's what the float hits. Most of them just have a little dimple, and this one's got a pretty big mark there for, you know, and then that's, so this is the needle inlet. You want this exactly opposite the needle inlet, so that's the orientation of the float bowl right there. And then when the float's down, it hits that and doesn't stick into the float bowl. So anyway, yeah, I'm just going to clean the exterior up and reinstall it, change that fuel hose, and this thing should go. This stuff here is the best stuff in the world for cleaning carburetors, or if you got stuck valves or stuck piston rings on pistons. If you go back and look at my Galaxy videos, this is how I freed the rings up to get them off, to put new rings on. I reused the original pistons and I had to re-ring them. And the original rings were stuck in the pistons. As you remember, that engine was stuck when I bought the car. And I soaked them down. I had the pistons out and I just soaked them down with this stuff. And within 4 or 5 days, all the rings I could get out with my fingers, so I didn't have to use tools or anything on the pistons because I wanted to reuse the pistons. So that's why I didn't want to touch them with a tool. I wanted to get them out with my fingers. But anyway, there we go. This is the stuff, and I just kind of, this will clean this carburetor up to look like, the exterior will look like brand new when I'm done. It's just the best stuff in the world. Get it in the throat and get it on everything. It hopes I'm getting it on my toolbox too. kind of isn't too paint friendly, so you get it on paint, wipe it off. But yeah, this stuff will, you can get it on Mercury, a boat dealer that sells Mercruiser or Mercury Marine. I gotta wipe more of my toolbox off now. And it's not cheap. I get it online, and it's not cheap, but the stuff works. I buy it by the case. The case will last me about 10 years. It doesn't take much. I'll just let that soak for a while, and I can take a brush, swab it in there like one of these acid brushes, you know, like this, and kind of, and that thing, yeah, I don't need any more liquid in there. And then this tray with the liquid, I can put my parts washer. I always usually use this in my parts washer because it makes the fluid work that much better. I mean, look at that. Yeah. See how it cleans up? Yeah, it's the best stuff in the world. You won't find any product that works better. I don't care what it is. It works better than the ultrasonic cleaner. But, you know, it's, like I say, it's not cheap. So I only use it when I really want to, you know, piston ring stock or something. They're made for 2-cycle engines to decarbon them for outboards and stuff. But it's the best stuff in the world. So yeah, you can run that. You can take a 2-stroke engine with no fuel, oil mix, nothing. Just spray it in the carburetor and run the engine with this stuff. And it won't hurt the engine. This will actually lubricate the 2-stroke, to where if you use gum out in a 2-stroke and it's not got, it's like running your car engine without oil. You don't run a 2-stroke on straight gasoline or carb cleaner or starting fluid. You know, it's just like running your car without oil in the crankcase. So always use something that will lubricate your 2-stroke, and that stuff's designed to do that. So just a little tidbit if somebody's watching my video and, you know, that works on this kind of stuff, and try it. Just buy 1 can and try it and see what you think. Guarantee you, you'll like it and buy it by the case if you do a lot of this kind of stuff. But look at that. That carburetor really cleaned up. Taking the paint off the idle speed set screw even. They put like a dab of red paint for warranty reasons, I do believe. It's, you know, so if you messed with it, the paint's broken and they can see that. But anyway, that's pretty much all ready for just to float off compressed air and throw it back on the engine. I might set the camera down and go around it because it's hard to do it with them standing here yapping and holding the camera while I'm doing that. So let me set the camera down and I'll finish it up. How about that? Looks pretty good, doesn't it? It didn't take very long, maybe 15 minutes all total. And there's the numbers on it for any of the number guys that are interested. It's a Tecumseh Products, made in USA. These are actually pretty good little engines. These bigger Tecumsehs were a little cold-blooded because of this long manifold in cold weather. You have to have the primer in the cold weather. They won't start. They won't start with just a choke. You got to prime these things to get them going. And then you got to leave them on half choke for a while until that muffler. That's why that box is on there. It helps heats the manifold and the air going into the carburetor. And preferably the ideal intake temperature of carburetors is 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So that way it's, you know, if you're out snow blowing and it's, you know, below 0 or 10 degrees out, it runs good because the manifold will be warm and this will be getting warm air. It doesn't frost up or anything. So yeah, that's why. Anyway, I'm going to throw this back on. Tomorrow we'll get a new fuel line on it. I'll have to pull the blower housing, do that, which is not a biggie. And I damaged this, so I'll fix that tomorrow too. This little, it was just how, in fact, this other wire is about ready to come off too, but that goes on there. And that's where that wire that goes to the switch on that connects onto there. Started draining the oil. This is the next day, and there is no mouse nest in the blower housing. There's a lot of spider webs in it, and I blew it out with compressed air, but there's only 1, 2, and they're not head bolts that hold the blower housing on the top there. So there's a bolt there, which is down here, one on the other side, and then you got your 2 screws for your electric starter and your 2 screws for the throttle control, and I undid this for the shifter to get the blower housing out of there. And I was working on the switch. This is the little, I unplugged this from the coil. This end here would plug on there, and then it ran down out to this, and you can see where this little tab broke off. Goes kind of right there. So I'm going to run to the mower shop, and if I can get just this little piece, I'll get it and replace it. Check this out. Here's the part that broke, this part right here. That little plastic doohickey. This is where I got it. And that's what it cost. Yeah, $4.13. It was easier just to go get a new one than horse with trying to solder it. This is the place right here. I'm on 9 Mile between, in fact that light's Ryan Road, so we're almost at we're between DeQuinder and Ryan, almost to Ryan Road. So this is the south side of 9 Mile, just west of Ryan, and it's Howard's Outdoor Power Equipment. They got a nice place here, and they sell mini bike frames if you want to build one, and mini bike parts, and lawnmowers and snow blowers and all kinds of goodies they sell there. It's kind of a neat place. I like going there. It's always tempting to try and buy a mini bike frame or something like that. Anyway, let's get home and put this thing back together and get it running. I've been trying to drive the truck a little bit more just to keep the battery up and keep it running good. It sat so long at one point the battery went dead, and I charged it up and it seems to be holding the charge, but you know, usually when you run automotive batteries dead, that destroys them. It's not like a deep cycle that you can run dead and recharge multiple times and not hurt them. Auto batteries are different, but it's working fine. I have had no further issues. It stayed charged, and I try and, like I say, drive it. I put less than 1,000 miles a year on this thing now, and if I hadn't gone up north this year, I'd only put about 300 miles on it in the past year. But going up north, that's, you know, about 500 miles round trip. It's 370 miles one way from the house to the cottage, plus, you know, any driving around up there. So yeah, that's put a few, so I put about 800-900 miles on the truck. There we go, the new part is installed. I soldered it to make sure it doesn't pull out of there. A little like pinch over thing for the wire, and I figured if I soldered it, it would hold up better. So there we go. Let me put this thing back together, and we'll put some gas in it, some oil, and see how it goes. Time to put the oil in it. I'm going to use my estate sale oil here. Yeah, and for you that think that the stuff separated will shake it up, it's good enough. I mean, for what these things are, it's like I say, it's oil is oil. For these little engines, they're not too fussy. All right, so these engines take typically 20 ounces. This is the ounce thing, and to that mark is 16 ounces. This is a product from Outboard Marine Corporation. I don't know if that shows up there or not. Got this when I worked in the boat dealers. It's called a OMC Econo Measure, so gives you your gas fuel ratios. So 24:1, and you may not be able to see this, ounces of milliliters, 100:1, 50:1. Here goes the estate sale oil. That's 16 ounces right there. Dump that in, and then we'll check the oil level and then go from there. How's that sound? 16 ounces has it right at the right at the just below the OK line. So we'll put 4 more ounces in and check it again. It's about halfway on the OK. So this engine must take maybe a little bit more, maybe 28 ounces. So I'm going to put 4 more ounces in. Right on the full mark. I don't know if that shows up in the video or not, but it's exactly on the full mark. Next, I'm going to check the lubricant in this. And usually there's grease fittings on these, and I'll see. No, I don't. Doesn't appear there's any grease fittings on it. This is what the gear case has in it. You can see I pulled the plug, and you can see the white lithium grease on the end there. So this is what I'm going to put in it. This was for the old non-shift gear cases. Like, even that motor would be good with this stuff. It's the lower unit gear grease. This was from the boat store I worked at for decades. It's a Suburban Marine. It was $3.59, and their prices were higher than like auto parts or anywhere else. I probably got it at cost, which was probably 50% of what that is. But yeah, that was quite a while ago, probably in the mid-90s when I got this, you know, for when I worked on the antique outboards. Yeah, let the air out too. I would say it's full. I squeezed quite a bit in there. So yeah, I did put quite a fair amount in the gear case, so that should be good now. Put the plug back in. And all the lube should be good. I want to make sure the wheels are not seized on the shaft next. Go. Your case is full of lubricant. Put a little fuel in it. Make sure it doesn't leak out the carburetor. That's enough. Everything appears to be dry. Give it a choke. See what it does. Hopefully it has some fuel in the carburetor. Cable caught. Let's unloosen that. Let's take it around front. We'll crank it back up. Drive works good. That's not the highest gear, and you put it in the highest gear. The engine is kind of running at a lower RPM, but we'll take it around front to where I can hose it off. Might get the pressure washer out, might not, we'll see. That thing runs like brand new. There we go. That was just a quick hose off, just to get the heavy stuff off. I don't have any of the detergent. I want to use that Challenger cleaner, but in the meantime I'll see if I can get some paint so I can touch up that green where it's really bad, and I'll touch up some of this. But the rest of it I think we'll just leave alone. Just pull it up a little bit here and give it a pull and make sure it starts. Drive pulley thing is wet, so I'll have to dry that out. But yeah, pretty decent. Drive wheel is now dried out. Just need to sit here and run for a minute. Whoops, let's take off on me. I better get a hold of it. It's hard to do this one-handed. Engage the blower too. Dry that out, the belt and everything. I can't get over how well this thing cleaned up. Seeing I have a bunch of this cheap estate sale order, $1.50 a quart of oil. I usually go on 50% off days, and usually nobody buys the fluids even if they're unopened, so sometimes I even get them more than that. But $1.50 a quart, you know, if I went to the auto parts, that would be 10, probably 12 bucks, and I probably wouldn't change the oil in this again. I drained the original oil out, and then I let it run for about 20-30 minutes. Make sure everything was dry from hosing it. So I misspoke a little bit ago. I put 16 ounces in, then I put 4 ounces in, which is 20, and then I put another 4 in, so it's 24 ounces I put in the engine, not 28 ounces. So hopefully I don't hear a lot of flack over that, but we'll check the right on the full mark. I don't know if, again, the oil's so clean I can't see if that shows up on the stick or not, but it's right on the full mark. Good enough. So there, we ran an oil change through it to get it good and warmed up, and I think everything's good. There's still, that quart's empty, so I used 1 full quart and a little more than half of this quart to, like a half ounce more than this quart to get the engine oil changed twice to get the, you know, I didn't, that oil was so nasty, I just decided to drain it, and it drained overnight. And then I just warmed it up really good after I washed it. So that way the oil really was mixed up and come out. I already dumped it, but yeah, it needed that. It totally needed the oil dumped again. And so this thing should be ready to go now. And it's an easy engine to change oil in, so I don't know why anyone wouldn't change it. I mean, yeah, that's the oil drain. It's super easy access. As I said, I'm going to put a new spark plug in it. Let's see. Yeah, this is right here. I got another one right. I got tons of these J19s and J17 LMs. So I'll throw a new plug in it. Let's see what this spark plug looks like just for the heck of it. Oh wow. Yeah, it was in there. Probably is the original one. Still kind of warm. Oh yeah, it's burning nice and clean. That looks excellent. Yeah, I could probably just leave it in. It's an RJ19LN or LM. LM stands for lawnmower. The R stands for resistor. So we'll throw this one in. That's a J19. There, J19LM. Yeah, I bet that's the original spark plug to the machine. I mean, you know, they probably last forever anyway. You know, these, without lead in the gasoline, you don't get them. They don't carbon up and foul unless the engine burns oil. There we go, new spark plug. The gap is set at 30 thousandths. Gave it a quick touch up. That was the darkest green I could find. It's called Dark Hunter Green. It looks like some stuff is blown in it. It's windy out, but I don't care. It's a snowblower. It's not a car or anything. It's gonna get used and scratched up and beat up. Kind of painted the inside of the bucket, kind of Mickey Mouse. The inside of the chute I sanded and painted. Sanded that and painted that. I don't know how well that shows up, the sun and everything, but I did have it running because I started it and turned the impeller on and then just shot paint in there to get the impeller. And I don't know how warm it is, but I'm not going to prime it. I'll just give it a choke and pull and see what happens. I guess it's going to need a prime. It's been starting out every time. It doesn't have hardly any gas in it. I don't even know if it has any. Yeah, it's out of gas. You can see the bottom of the tank down in there, so I'll put a little gas in it. But yeah, it starts right up, one pull every time so far I've started it. If you follow the procedures, I might put a little gas in it and warm it up a minute and then put it back in the garage. It's easier to put it in going over the little step there with the power drive on. So I'll put a little gas in it, and then that way if somebody comes to look at it, I can start it. I only put the bare minimum in it just because to get it running to make sure the carburetor didn't drip or anything, which it doesn't. Put a little bit more gas in the tank. I put maybe a pint in here. It was to where you could see the bottom of the tank, so I think it just ran out, but we'll give it a cold start, Paul, here. I think that is good enough. I painted the underside of that too, so you know, that doesn't show up, and I'm not tipping it up because I put gas in it. But yeah, I tipped it up. That's why there was no gas in it. Why, you know, it was right down to the bottom of the tank, was because I tipped it up to paint the underneath, and I don't want it to run out the carburetor or anything. And so that all looks good. It's good enough. I think we'll put this thing on Marketplace, and if it doesn't sell before we get a decent snow, we'll go out and try it out. Give the drive a snow blowing with this until I sell it. I'll probably just use this until I sell it, save wear and tear on my errands. I'll get the errands ready to go though, other than putting gas in it. I'll get it out so it's accessible, and then if I sell this, I'll have a snowblower to use still. But in the meantime, like I say, I think I'll just use this one. It runs really nice, really decent snowblower. So yeah, pretty good deal on this estate sale snowblower. So I'm going to ask 150 bucks for it. So if somebody wants it, it's going to need a truck to haul it. I don't think you're going to fit this in a SUV. You're going to need a pickup truck or something, or a van, minivan it would probably fit in. I'll measure the top of the handles there, which, you know, could come off if necessary, and this could be turned down, but I'll still give it a quick measure. Yeah, about 45.5 inches, almost 4 feet. And then that bar is about 29 inches. And the chute, I think if it was turned down, would be about 33 inches. So you're going to need at least 34 or 5 inches of headroom in an SUV or a minivan or something to get that in, but pickup truck would really be the best to haul it in. Once the paint's dry, I'll spray the whole machine down with some WD-40 and kind of smear it around with a rag, and that'll soak in any of these little surface rust spots that I didn't clean and paint, and help make it last a little longer, especially on the engine shields. You can see it's kind of in the blower housing. It just, you know, if you do that to your snow, if you buy a new snowblower, gas one, metal like this, they're all plastic now, and a lot of them are battery, but if you buy one, spray the machine down with WD-40 after you're done. Brush as much of the snow as you can. Once it's dried up a bit, spray it with WD-40, everything, muffler, engine, chute, auger, impeller inside there. I just mist the whole machine down with my machines and then take a rag and kind of smear it around. It keeps them nice. And my Aaron's is a 76, and it's still, 49-year-old snowblower I have, still looks pretty darn good. So this is 29 years old. This is a 96. So it's 20 years newer than my Aaron's, I guess. So anyway, there we go. Just thought I'd make a little video on getting this 9-horse Craftsman 26-inch snow thrower back in working condition from an estate sale to sell. This is one of 2 machines I've bought from estate sales that really didn't need much of anything. Bought an MIT commercial pressure washer with an 11-horse Synchrobalance Briggs & Stratton, and I did videos on it. I didn't even put gas in that. It had clean oil. It had 3/4 of a tank of fresh, clean gas. I hooked it up to the garden hose. One pull, it started up, and I was pressure washing. And I used it a little bit. It took up a lot of space, but I think I sold it for $500. I paid $100 for it. It was a commercial machine. It was a nice machine. But anyway, I figure this is worth $150. I got $40 including what I paid for it wrapped up into it. But I got my time, and hauling it home and going to the estate sale and hauling it home. And, I took the carburetor off thinking it needed cleaning. It was spotless. I could have put gas in it and it would have started first pull. It started first pull when I put the carburetor back on, and I didn't clean it at all. I just threw it back on together, and I cleaned the exterior of it because it was cruddy. But yeah, there we go. And my 99-year-old outboard there. But anyway, we're going to end the video here. If you like my video, that thumbs up icon helps me out a lot. Share the video, that helps too. And so you can subscribe by hitting that 348 engine icon that powers a 59 Bel Air. And thank you for taking the time to watch my video.